Sefirat HaOmer. I'm sitting here in a field of barley. This is wild barley. It's nobody's field. It just grows on its own in the wild. But you can tell that it's ripe. It's ready to be harvested. And Sefirat HaOmer is the time of the barley harvest. So the period of Sefirat HaOmer is, as we know, bookended by two holidays, Pesach and Shavuot. But in the Torah, it's also bookended by two sacrifices. First, we have Korban HaOmer, which comes from the barley, and it signifies the beginning of the barley harvest. Right? It says in the Torah, Reshit Katzirechem, by Korban HaOmer. Then we count our 7 weeks until we get up to Shavuot and the Korban known as Shetei HaLechem, which is also the first. It's the first and the beginning of the wheat harvest. That's why this Korban is also called Bikurim, the first fruits or the first wheat, Lechem Bikurim. So what's the difference between wheat, barley? Why are both of them important? As we know, both of them are in the Shibat HaMinim. But the king, is of course Hita. Eretz Hita or Se'orah. But Se'orah also has a place of kabod in the Shibat HaMinim. The thing about Se'orah is it's not as good as Hita. Like objectively, the Hita, if you compare the two, the Hita has got thicker stalks. There's just more food in it. It's more of a worthwhile crop. Tastes better. Nobody eats barley bread because it's like animal fodder. The Hachamim say about the Sotah, the reason she brings a offering of barley is because it's animal food. But still, it was a very important crop in ancient times. And why is that? Because it's more resilient. It doesn't need as much rainwater. It doesn't need as much quality soil as the Hita requires. So in ancient times, you had to hedge your bets. You needed to rely on barley in case you were living in a place that didn't get enough rain, or it was a bad year, or whatever it is. So barley is something you can count on. Hita is all right. If we get Hita, great. If we have wheat, amazing. But otherwise, barley is a lifesaver. The lesson that the Torah is giving us by having these two korbanot, having a holiday for both the Hita and the Se'orah, the beginning of those harvests, why both of them are part of the Shibat HaMinim, is because both are critical. You need the Hita, that's your moneymaker, that's what you're going to want to eat. You'll end up having more of a surplus if you're growing Hita. But if you only do Hita, then you're vulnerable. Some places the Hita won't even grow well. Also, this time of year, Sefirat HaOmer, is notorious for having unpredictable weather. Even though we stop praying for the rain, it can still rain or even hail. That could ruin the Hita. We also have the Hamsin, those are the sandstorms. The barley, your harvest is already ready before this unpredictable weather. So you start with that as your safe bet. And this whole time while you're counting the Omer, you're counting up to the Hita. You're harvesting the Se'orah while you're praying for the success of the Hita. You have that basic, because without a foundation, without knowing you have something to fall back on, you can't build higher levels. You can't work up to that Hita, because if it's a year where the Hita doesn't grow, you're up the creek without a paddle. So that's what's special about Se'orah. And I think that's also part of the dichotomy, the contrast between Pesach and Shavuot. Pesach is the holiday of freedom, Zaman Harutenu, but it's not a guarantee of wealth and prosperity. It's just freedom. Shavuot is building the next level, Matan Torah, and that's also the difference between matzot and hametz, which is another difference between the two korbanot. Pesach, the holiday of the matzot, because that's lechem oni, the Torah calls it, the poor man's bread. The goal is to get to the Hita, to let the dough rise, to develop. But without the Se'orah, without the matzot, without that basic level, we're nothing. So it's something we could take with us when it comes to investments and finance, but also in spirituality. If we're not able to accept the basic conditions, then we have no way to build up to something greater, to the greater prosperity. Have a wonderful Sefirat HaOmer.